Gather, veterans. It's time to join the fight. The long war begins.
This is The Long War. I'm Robbie B, and joining me once again are my partners in crime, Kenny Boucher, Stephen Ford, and Mike Haspel. What's up, guys?
Yo, dog, great to be here.
Yo, what's happening, everybody?
Kenny, why are you with Taddy Mason?
Taddy Mason, a person you've never even heard of. Of course it's Taddy Mason. Always getting swifty in the beat slap.
So we had an interesting debate on the After Hours webcast just a little while ago about Netlists, the Cabal, all these convocations. So the title of tonight's episode is "Are Netlists an Auto Win?" which I think a lot of people have an opinion about, if I had to say so myself.
I mean, the salt has flowed before.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, I have definitely been a party to "Yar, taste of the sea" moments.
The salt shall flow.
Yeah, so I mean, I've definitely been in a room where it's like, oh, I've been in a room with certain individuals where it's like, well, if we played Eldar, we would just win every tournament. You know what I mean? I've definitely been in myself involved in salt moments like that. But I think they're momentary lapses of reasoning skills.
Well, either way, I'm sure we can break it down and put it to the test between the panel here. But maybe more importantly is we got definitely a good tabletop market watch. There's more good stuff coming out, and we got some video game stuff that we didn't even discuss. I think me and Haspel will definitely talk about some of that new Total War stuff, and I don't know, Webcast Recap, and new in the FAQ. There was an Orc FAQ. If you missed it, it did come out about 3 o'clock Eastern time.
Oryx.
No, that's a different game.
Causing panic among GW watchers on the Facebook. It was kind of funny. It was like, people were like, gotta have them facts. Gotta have
FAQ for the FAQ guy.
Yeah, I want you to know they could have just literally kept this FAQ to themselves.
No. An FAQ is better than no FAQ, my friend.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's debatable at this point, or at least it's the.
No. The only thing that's good is that we are getting consistent FAQs that sometimes consistently do nothing.
Well, at least they're consistent.
Consistently consistent.
That's right.
You ask any sports player, would you rather be consistent or streaky? I think they would say consistent.
Yeah, I like it. So just to talk about, I feel like we could. Do we want to hit on the FAQ now and just go ahead and bang that out, or guys, what do you think?
It's our normal protocol to make everyone listening wait for the things they want to hear.
I mean, you guys definitely want to wait for this one then.
I feel like pretty much every TV show it's been programmed in the history of ever does the same thing.
But don't worry about it.
Us.
It's not just us, but also we have been providing a table of contents in the posts with the time signatures, so you can skip it. You can skip all around all those bullshit if you want to hear it. But if you do want to hear the tabletop marketplace, the world famous section.
Yeah, if you want to hear about the new Age of Sigmar coming out next week. So Games Workshop's dropping the new Realm of Battle board along with a new lineup of bases, plastic bases for all the good Age of Sigmar boys and girls.
And those bases look good.
They do. The detail on the pictures and the boxes so far look very good. I almost kind of prefer them to the 40K City Fight ones.
I actually do. I definitely prefer them.
I'm pretty excited. They're all $33 across the board, which is pretty tight. Or you can get the new Realm of Battle board, which isn't the silly sloping hills to the middle or the big hill in the middle sloping to the edges. It's all flat, and it's got a lot of detail, and they got rules themselves too, which looks pretty neat. Same price, $330 I want to say. So that one's cool. There's also, like, if you're thinking about getting into it, and I know Haspel wants to jump back in and get them Stormcast, but there is some new starter sets coming out. Like, you can get the Age of Sigmar mini starter for $33, or you can get little $15 individual, like, Chaos Squads or Stormcast Squads. But surprisingly enough, all 4 of those come in the $33 starter. So I feel like if you're going to buy more than one of those, just buy the starter.
Yeah. And I'm torn now, too. I was going to jump back in with Stormcast Eternals, but the new Sylvaneth, I don't know, man. They look really good.
Is that how you say it, Sylvan? I've been saying it wrong. Sylvaneth or Sylvaneth?
I don't know. Sylvan means forest in Latin. That's
Right. Yeah. There was a magic card. It was Sylvan Library. Sylvaneth. Potato.
Sylvaneth, whatever. You can't listen to me. I say Aquila and Aquila, so you don't know. I don't know.
Just say the tree folk. Can't go wrong with that.
Elves.
Dem elves.
What else? There we go.
I like anything that has wood added before it. It makes it way better.
People are definitely getting excited for some wood.
Wood Rob, wood juice, wood haspel. It's better. I mean, I have actually a box of these Sylvaneth whatever peeps up in my Beats lab right now. This weekend on Friday, I guess. I mean, some people count Friday as a weekend. I know I do. And we are going to be doing like an all-day stream marathon jam session in the Beats lab. We're going to be building that whole box set, that big one with all the tree persons, and
tree folk.
We also have the Beetle Rider lady.
Oh yeah, dude. Oh, great.
So we got her. So we're gonna be building all that on stream, and I'll be banging out some paint jobs. I got a whole realm of battle, so I'll be doing like 8 hours on Friday, just gangster mode, and obviously. It's coming soon. The Long War stream is coming soon. We're almost there, guys.
Lots of Age of Sigmar action happening. Oh, and speaking of more Age of Sigmar, next week it looks like there's to start collecting boxes. So that's looking pretty fresh as well.
Wait, they got to start collecting boxes now?
There's 5 more. Yeah, there's 5 more coming out. Aruk's, Sylvaneth. I want to say there's a Chaos one, there's a Stormcast one, and I'm forgetting one.
Oh shit! And you guys just filmed the Age of Sigmar battle report though, right?
Absolutely.
Yep.
That's exactly what I was going to say. We just banged down a few hours of AOS, and let me tell you, I'm actually pretty pumped about it. Halfway through the game, I'm like, man, it would be no problem for me to get my Skaven back to par. You know, like starting out with 1,000 points. You know, if it did moving up, like. You know, it was actually really cool. I'm glad that they GW went back, listened to everybody, and put point values to things.
Oh, okay.
The rules are actually pretty cool as well. There's a lot of free rules online. You know, I downloaded their app. I'd never seen GW do some shit like that. So, I mean, this was pretty cool.
So you guys did use the General's Handbook in your battle report?
Yeah, we used the first mission, and we also got the command traits. That are like the warlord traits.
And artifacts out of that?
Yep, and artifacts. And we did the first mission. It was like
it was the first mission. It was a
command
single
and
objective.
Control. Yeah, It was basically like tie hammer.
And then also I utilized a formation out of that you can pick up right there on the app. Like, I mean, I'm thoroughly impressed. And actually the gameplay was pretty cool. Like, not very rule intensive, I guess would say, but like
there's some tactics.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. It's glad to hear you say that because like I tell people when I give them demos, I'm like, all right, take everything you know, all your 40K, all your fantasy, just throw it out the window.
Throw it out the window. So and to be honest, guys, like I want everybody to know, like that's exactly what I went into this. I was like, I'm going to go as if I know nothing, even though I've played fantasy for years. You know, I played for about 3 years hard, you know, and this was actually really fun. There's, you know, it was a little overwhelming at first. It was like there's 8 phases or 6 phases to the game, and it's like, actually, just forget all that. It seems more than what it really is. Each army is going to find its niche to engage in 2 or 3 of those phases. I don't know how many armies out there are going to engage in every single one. You know, is that the one? Okay. So like, there's always that one army.
Yeah,
you know?
Those guys. Darn Eldar.
Yeah. So, but no, the models looked. I think it also helped for me because I'm a visual type of guy. Yo, Felix put in work. I want to know, Kenny. I shouted you guys out because. As everybody knows and they've watched the videos, Felix came on and utilized his Blood Angels multiple times in the Beats lab with me. He faced my Nids a couple times, everything. Obviously, his Blood Angels looked great. They were fine. Well, next thing we know, I show it to the Beats lab day, and I was like, who painted these orcs out of or however you say their name now? They literally look like they came out of the handbook. You know, that yellow and highlighted into orange and the bases and everything else. And I was like, who painted this? And it's like, yo, Felix did. I was like, Felix been watching a tutorial by Kenny. He's been upgrading his damn paint skills.
I mean,
Okay.
I hope so at this point. I mean, I think he is the ghostwriter of my articles.
It's
So at some point in the week, he has to watch every second of my tutorials. So I'm glad he's taking something from it.
Yo, so let me tell you, you just heard it here first. Watch every second of Kenny's tutorials, and you'll get good.
It's like you also get bigger biceps if you paint all day. It's a real
Bigger forearms,
it's a real thing.
Popeye style.
Yeah, that question was posed to me on last Twitch stream. It was by Spikey Bits. Very, very short and to the point. Can I get bigger biceps by painting? And I mean, really, the only answer to that question is yes.
I mean, let's be honest.
It's obvious.
I'm just trying to keep my options open, dog. But
like basically, next time someone asks you, like, do you even lift, bro? You're just like, obviously, bro.
Dude, I paint. I work out those paint muscles every day. Every day. No, it was a great Twitch stream, man. I really enjoyed it. I get why people really dig those YouTube when you put them over to YouTube, because it's more immersive than the normal standard tutorial kind of thing.
I like it. I'm glad that we're finally settling into Twitch. We're finally gonna do it. Unfortunately, the Hangouts are never gonna leave Hangouts, the webcasts, because it's still a better platform for having people in different states come together. So that's still gonna be a Hangout, but I think we're getting into a good rhythm with the Hangout where everyone can find us on the webcast. But pretty soon, hopefully by Adepticon 2017, we will be legit stream commentating games as the Long War. So look forward to that in our very near future.
Yeah, we got a lot of stuff going on. So if you're thinking about checking out Age of Sigmar, now is definitely the time. There's so many ways to jump in and play it. Oh my gosh, I gotta talk about this too. So there's a new magazine coming out. It's $8. Start collecting Age of Sigmar. It's $8. It's I don't know, like 100 pages or something like that. And it comes with a free figure, like they did in the White Dwarf last summer. So I mean, $8 there, or $33 for the mini starter, or you can pick up some of the figures to flesh out some squads. There's just so many options out there, and really to get started book-wise, like Juice was saying, you can download all the stuff for free, no big deal. But if you want some of the fresh content, you got to get some of the new battle tomes. Or you can unlock them on the app. But really all you need is the Grand Alliance books, if you like paper copies, and the General's Handbook, which is going to run you at most $60 for both books. And that's retail. That's assuming you don't get a sweet deal somewhere.
I mean, it almost can't get any better than that. Like, I want to say, like, that is for GW. We're talking GW here, guys. They are the epitome of markup of markups. But they have really done well. I have to say, I take back I don't take back because I meant it at that point in time, because how crappy Age of Sigmar in my mind was. But like, now that they have upgraded and released these books and everything else, I have to say, man, I might put in. I don't have that much time and that whatever else, but like, they literally have me wanting to put my Skaven back together and put that on my hobby table to get done.
Yeah, I think it's
so that's a start. Let me tell you, and that's coming from a guy who would never say that. I didn't think I would say that. After playing literally one game, I feel the hobby juice is coming back to me.
And everybody's on equal footing. I mean, there's so many rules out there. Not everybody knows everything, obviously, but we're all starting to kind of piece things together. There's points cost now, so there's ways to do basically make sure things are air quotes even. You know what I mean? So I think it's a great time. At least check it out. You kind of owe it to yourself. At least do a demo. Maybe pick up the small starter, play it with a friend, whatever. Just check it out.
For Warhammer Fantasy, people who are playing Total War, there is a Beastman supplement coming out. It is called Call of the Beastman, and it will be available for its DLC. It will be available July 28th. And it's right now, I think it's 10% off or something on Steam. And the offer ends obviously on July 28th. But if you pre-order it, it's like $17. And it will add a new Beastman race to the Grand Campaign, 2 new playable legendary lords, adds an additional campaign map to the game with a unique Eye for an Eye Beastman story campaign, and hordes of new units, monsters, heroes, magic, and game features. I feel like this is a really good deal. The only thing that's would be holding me back a little bit is that there's already so much content in Total War Warhammer, And I have been remiss. I've barely been able to play like halfway through the vampire counts thing, just because I haven't had a lot of time. So it's like, if you've been playing this hard and fast, definitely pick it up. If not, it's going to be around, and if you like the Beastmen, then you've got Beastmen now.
And they actually data mined it, and there's 4 more expansions coming out, I believe. Somebody figured out.
Yeah, it's a fantastic game. I really enjoy it. I just it takes a little bit of commitment to sit down and play. Even just one battle takes you half an hour, depending on how complex it is. So
it's definitely worth playing, but it's not something you can just jump in and jump out on. But it's it's getting good reviews. It's got a lot of folks playing it. It's it's going to be around for a while, so that's good to see. It's good for the hobby,
Yeah, it's a fantastic game. Mm. And then I'm going to go off topic a little bit here, and I want to talk about something when Kenny and I were playing our battle report, last week or week before, and he came out. The table I use is really low. It's just a regular standard table, and I have a piece of like 1/4-inch plywood, thrown on top of it. And I know a lot of people are playing the same type thing, because not everybody can build their own dedicated battle table for miniatures gaming. I found something online called bed risers, and it's just kind of silly. They're definitely not new. They've been around for a long time, and the idea is that if you wanted to raise your bed up to increase the storage space underneath your bed, and these things are made out of like hard plastic. Some of them the nicer ones are made out of wood, but they're made out of like hard plastic. And the ones I got off of Amazon for like $16 or something like that. They will allow you to raise your table up to 8 inches. And it makes a huge difference. And these are not permanent. They're temporary. You literally just lift the table, put these things on. They're rated to hold like 1,300 pounds or something. So unless you're jumping up and down on your battle table, these aren't going to break.
Or you're my fat ass leaning over the table.
Yeah, maybe. But so far, I mean, I put them on my table downstairs, and I didn't even use, like, they come in 2 parts. I didn't use both parts. I just used the bottom part because it raised it up enough that I was like, wow, that makes a massive difference. And that way you're not leaning over the table. Your back doesn't hurt. I was just like, this is great stuff. So if you're playing on your kitchen table or, some other fold-out table or something like that, you might want to look at just picking up a set of these for really, really cheap, and they raise your table without you having to, build a bunch of stuff. So
are they tapered, like, or?
Yeah, it looks like a little pyramid with like a flat top, and it has a recessed area at the top where the leg of the table would fit inside it.
I got you. So I'm wondering if folks have like folding tables, like 2 folding tables put together.
Oh, that might not work.
Because they're tapered, you couldn't get 4 down, so you'd have to have some sort of insert over the table. A single table with like a 4x8 sheet of plywood, that would work maybe. Yeah. But even that's a little expensive. But yeah, I see. I like that. That's a great idea.
Depending if you have to try to ploy that technique, if you're putting mobile things or multiple tables together, all you do is you just go click right next to it and just get in that same area. You can probably have them shipped to your house cinder blocks.
Yeah,
they're longer, so they'll be able to take all the different things.
They're not adjustable.
No, not adjustable. Not unless you're Kenny and you're trying to practice for Bloodsport.
No doubt. That's pretty tight tech. We might have to raise the table in the beach slab, because I know all the hours you guys put in probably killing your backs.
Yeah, it's actually, I really like this table because it is a little higher than most.
Yeah, I think it's.
I'm actually not looking forward to the one thing about ATC and Adepticon and all those big tournaments is
concrete floors and low tables.
Concrete floors and card tables, baby. Like, some people laugh, but man, I've been wearing back braces to events like that for years, and there's a reason why.
Wreck your back.
We were sore at Adepticon, man. It was.
And horse.
Yeah. I do a lot of things in the week to get me a horse, though, I keep it squanchy. So do we have a world famous webcam recast?
Yeah, so on the webcam recast, we have 2 questions that really stood out. One, Dave Ledbetter asked, about the Curse of the Wolfen 2 and Lehman Russ. Like, what's the time frame that we're going to be seeing this stuff? And we did talk about this a little bit on the webcast recap, but I feel like we're going to be seeing Curse of the Wolfen 2 pretty soon. And I don't know, I don't have any super intel, but I'm guessing September, October, and probably a little bit earlier than we expected because of this thing the Black Library has been doing with Warzone Fenris, where they had this book where you buy it by, you paid $20 or whatever, and it released in installments, in 8 installments. And I've been reading it, and it's a lot of fun. It's a pretty neat way to release the book in installments and everything. So you just sit down, read 30 pages at a time, and then you're good to go. But this month they actually released 2 segments at the same time. So Part 6 and Part 7 came out this month. Normally they were just releasing one segment once a month. So all that's left is Part 8 that's going to come out, I assume, 1 August, which means that they're done. And I don't think that they were going to release Curse of the Wolfen 2 before that, because it would spoil the story of what happens. So I'm guessing that any time after August is fair game for Curse of the Wolfen 2. And as for Lehman Russ, I'm guessing my guess would be that they're going to drop that with the 30K Wolves, which we saw at the Forge World Open Day. They had some sweet-looking wolves there with a new Dreadnought. And artwork from, I think it's called the Inferno book, that has, the Thousand Suns and the Space Wolves in it for 30K.
Supposedly Sisters are going to be in there too.
Oh, Sisters of Silence, yeah, because they were there. Mm-hmm. So I guess that deals with all of the Fall of Prospero. So we'll have to just that's gonna have to drop soon. But again, I would suspect the same time frame, October-ish. That's where I would put my money.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. And now we're hearing that there's going to be a Chaos supplement with air quotes veteran abilities coming out in September.
Wait, say that again.
So supposedly there's going to be a Chaos supplement coming out with veteran abilities.
Bringing back the veteran abilities?
Yes, which we all know that means pretty much Legion.
Legion
for everybody, yeah. Love it.
I mean, that was sick. Remember, it used to be that if you were like unmarked, you can take like as many veteran abilities as you want. If you're marked, you could take one.
Yep.
And it was so people. I mean, it was great back in the day. Taking a bunch of infiltrate was a veteran ability you could buy, and so was take hunter. So you had like a bunch of 5-man squads with auto cannons.
Yeah, I loved it. It was right around that same time with the Space Marine back in 3rd edition, where you could make your own chapter. And give your own self-chapter tag.
And they were handing them out left and right. And it was really cool, man. I'd love to see some veteran abilities because right now, and we talked about this in the pregame. We about Chaos, and there was also a sick article on Spikey Bits right now. As usual, all articles are sick there about Chaos might be stronger than you think it is, and it's not that Chaos isn't strong. There's definitely ways, and we'll talk about that here later in the show. But there's definitely ways to play with any army and make it strong. But the problem here is what we're talking about is like Codex diversity. There is no way to play Chaos Space Marines in a point efficient and competitive way right now.
No.
And there's none. And so that's a big shame because for a lot of individuals that got into this hobby because of how baller a bunch of Night Lord Marines running around looked, or how a bunch of Black Legion amazing Marines with their armor and the Renegade Champion with his power fist, like that looked sick and they were awesome. And they basically were just Chaos Space Marines, were just Marines that looked differently and that had their own little unique set of rules, and they were just as playable as a Marine. And unfortunately, that is not the case now. You don't see them on the tabletop. Quite unfortunate, and it doesn't seem like a smart move from GW because people would buy Chaos Space Marines if you made them good.
Yeah,
and
we saw that with the the Crimson Slaughter supplement. Like they sold out of Possessed. Like, why would you ever sell out of Possessed? Oh, because you gave them good rules.
Because you gave them better rules than the other book had.
Yes.
And and that was also like that was like barely 6th edition, and now we know better. But they show you if you make something exciting, we'll buy it. That just seems like good business. Like just give me some veteran skills, bro. Let me make 10. Let me make a unit of a 20 block because a 20 block of Noise Marines with Sonic Blasters that have salvo infiltrate. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, just that unit itself. Like, don't make me have to pay a tax, and then try to hope that I get D3, infiltrate because of a certain
right
piece
now,
of
right now
ordinance
you
that
can
makes-
buy Huron. You have to pay like 165 points to buy a guy that lets you do it. I was like, well, we used to have this as a veteran skill. This used to be our thing. We were veteran along. We were 10,000 years of battle hardness. Like,
Yeah, it turns out we're good.
we're good. We got this. GG, man. We should be able to have an infiltrating unit, a tank hunting unit, you know, a counterattack unit, a furious charge unit, like all these cool abilities, a hit and run unit. Like, we should have these rules.
You know, and I've always considered, like, if you look at, like, what people, like you said, what brought them into the game and this, like, Chaos is in the top, like, Orcs are in the top, like, Space Marines are in the top, Dreadnoughts. Like, this is the core. This is what brought people, you know. So it wasn't Eldar in 2nd and 3rd edition. Like,
though everyone now will tell you, I've always been an Eldar player.
Absolutely.
You're the one guy. Got it. You know.
Yeah, let me tell you, I've met hundreds and hundreds, maybe even thousands now, 40K players. I know for a fact only 1 or 2 of them have been playing Eldar since 2nd edition.
Yeah,
okay, you know, like
those models are stupid looking. The 2nd edition, 3rd edition Eldar models are awful.
terrible.
Nobody looked at those and said, "That's what I want to play."
And you know, like, they didn't pump them. Like, the stories weren't about Eldar. Like, there wasn't, you know, Black Legion. There wasn't all this stuff about Eldar. They were randomly thrown in there, but, like, there are full-on books and all this other stuff with all this fluff built around Chaos, around Space Marines. Like,
yeah, because that is the 40K universe. It's the Space Marines versus the Chaos Space Marines, because that's realistically the coolest part about 40K. It's not elves in space, orcs in space, and dwarves in space, which is what they all.
They're kind of just supporting characters.
They were just trying to like port fantasy ideals to sci-fi. Those were all like very forced ideas when they came out. The one cool thing that was super cool and realistic was humans had a genetically enhanced race of super warriors that were the defenders of mankind. That was the cool shit. Yep. And then they had a political disagreement some time ago, and they split into 2 halves. Like, that was the dope shit, not this. I mean, space dwarves were so awful they struck them from their record because it was so obviously lame. You know what I mean? Like, so, and you're totally right about that, man. Like, it doesn't make sense. But finally, GW has heard us. We're gonna get some possible veteran skills out there. Maybe Marines with the chaos.
Maybe a plastic Karn Betrayer even.
Oh God, please! That was one of the first models I bought. Karn Betrayer and the Chaos Sorcerer. First 2 models I ever purchased.
That would be.
I want to also make a prediction. I'm sorry. I know we keep bringing it up, and I probably will never let it down until it changed. I swear to Christ, GW, if you're listening, if you don't change Lucius the Eternal's rules, get rid of him. Let him be eternal somewhere else. Let him be eternal in the books.
Let him be eternal in our hearts.
Yeah, like let us remember Lucius what he was, not what he is now. He's
like the late great Lucius the Eternal. Lucius the Eternal's not dead. He's dead to me.
No, literally should be dead to everyone, even you, GW. Make him Lucius the Eternal.
They got rid of the Doom Rider. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like,
that's fine. Like, let that ship has set sail. Either fix it or let him go. You know. So
let him finally rest. You know what I mean?
Yeah, damn, the man has been fighting. We've obviously seen he's not eternal anymore. Let that man sleep. So, hey, before we get off this, I do want to shout out, man. Like, I don't know. I've heard people saying whatever else, but we truly have the best people who interact and fans with us. Like, hands bar none. Like, this community is amazing. And, you know, just in tonight's webcast, I talked about how WarCon is the army that I'll be taking to ATC coming up in a few days. You know, it's a lot of paperwork to keep up with and this, and I'm going to try to come up with my own formula, but I haven't figured it out. Literally, Sean Brown, Mr. CEO himself, the creator of bottle cap markers and stuff like that we utilize for our Kickstarters and things, was like, yo, dog, I got you. Literally, canicles, check, objective markers, check, and, the...
Manacles and doctrines.
The doctrines. That's what I was.
He also does the psychic powers. Yeah,
dude. He literally was like, yo, homie, I got you. Got up by the time the thing was over. Drove to FedEx, put them all in. Just sent me, overnighted them to the hotel that we'll be staying at on Friday, just so I can make sure I have all that going in. So, like, big special shout out to Sean Brown, Mr. CEO.
Yeah, that is amazing. That's awesome.
Yo, like, can't get any clutcher than that, you know. So
he sent me some packages of them so I can distribute them next month at the Hammer Rat GT. And like I was saying, just go to Facebook, do a quick little Facebook search, Bottle Cap Industries, Bottle Cap Markers. I always got to search it a few times because it always wants to like not show it up. But it's there, and you'll see it. He has a tight little logo that's quite clearly a bottle cap objective marker. And go on there and throw him a like, and check out all the designs he's got in his gallery, because he was the official objective marker creator of the Long War Kickstarter. So
Ooh,
you know it's good.
We should talk to him about some Age of Sigmar.
Oh shit!
Yeah, and there's a lot, dude. This unit gets a +1, and this unit gets a +1.
This unit is attacked. This unit has done whatever. It's important.
I like that.
There's a lot of bonuses.
You heard it here first. New mini Kickstarter for the Long War, Age of Sigmar objectives, partnered with CEO Sean Brown.
There you go. I'd buy one.
But before we move on to the next section, let's take a quick commercial break, guys.
We had one more question, actually.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
How many questions do we have to take from the audience? No, and I'm just teasing. We referred briefly to, like, we have the best community, the best fans, and I think the reason that is because we don't look at it like we have fans or an audience. We look at it like we have more friends than other people, and that is evident by the fact that we interact on our personal Facebook pages, our text messages. Like, literally, I take Facebook phone calls from people. I mean, that's the reason we have the best community, because we are all friends together. Sorry, Hasp, I didn't mean to cut you off by being a sarcastic dick, but please continue.
Yeah, so Clay Cruz has asked, would the Elimination Maniple be a good addition to Sister's Army, or should I save my money? And my answer to that is that the Elimination Maniple, I think, is a good addition to any Imperial Army. It's fairly small, it's fairly cheap. If you just want a taste of Mechanicus, with there. And for those, we'll recap real quick. An Elimination Maniple is 2 to 3 units of Cataphrone Destroyer squads paired with 1 to 3 Castellan robot Maniples. The robots fire a phosphor weapon. If they score an unsaved wound or a penetrating hit, the rest of the formation gains ignore cover and +1 ballistic skill when firing at that unit. So it is like a lot of heavy DACA. I feel like they pair beautifully with Sisters, especially with the heavy flamers, transports with multi-meltas, Exorcists. Of course, I don't even need to mention that. I mean, Exorcists are the bomb.
Me and Haspel are all over
all kinds of stuff.
Me and Hasper are all over the armored box for the you just take a Dominion squad with 4 flamers.
Yeah, and just park them there, and now they all have torrent.
Yeah, put them in the box.
Oh my God!
And just sneak out and gotcha, bitch.
So I would say, pick up the Elimination Maniple. I don't know if they still make that box set. They used to have that box set, the Elimination Maniple.
Real quick, I'm sorry. Does the Retributor squads for the Sisters, do they still get heavy flamers? Like back in the day?
Yeah,
heavy flamer is a heavy option for them. Yes, everyone gets this. That's a standard upgrade that they have in their book.
Yeah, so that's what you're talking about, regular flamers for the Dominion squads?
Yeah, regular flamers. Well, flamers, so they become heavy flamer. It's all right.
Yeah, because they're standard.
I forgot how R-bomb this is. A regular flamer becomes a heavy flamer and torrent. Got it. So I feel like that upgrade should be a heavy flamer goes to a flamestorm cannon.
Yeah, might as well.
All day, every day. I mean, we're talking about it because next year we plan years and we plan a lot, and so next year at Adepticon we are doing an Imperial themed, Inquisition themed army team where we will have some Sisters, some Grey Knights, some Death Watch, and some IG, and we're gonna have some Inquisition mixed in to link it all together. But me and Aspo are making these incredibly hilarious lists, and he hit me with like, "Damn, I'm really trying to get an Inquisitor." Or an assassin inside the Sisters list, and it's like, damn, the Sisters list is so awful, you know what I mean? And when he was like, what about an armored box? And I was like, well, I mean, that's gonna be too many points to get an armored box. He's like, nah, that's 40 points, brah. And I was like, okay, but like we only had 140 to play with. I mean, there's no way we can get a Dominion squad and there were 4 flamers, right? He's like, no, it fits, and we have points left over.
Yeah, it was like, Sisters are cheap.
Sisters are really cheap. We're gonna make the formation. If you take 3 of those, it turns into the Hellstorm template.
Absolutely. Yep. For the Long War doubles tournament next year to Adepticon, that's gonna be a rule.
Yeah. So I feel if you've got Sisters with an Elimination Maniple behind maybe an Aegis wall or something like that, keep in mind the Sisters all get 6-up saves. You know what I mean? So You can definitely make it work. Just park the destroyers behind the Aegis wall, or just lay down some DACA. Heavy.
Definitely. DACA. No, you definitely. It's. I mean, 10 sisters and a rhino get the preferred enemy once per game. That's DACA. You know what I mean? Like, they got all sorts of little units that do stuff like that. You know,
and the firepower that the Cataphrons and the robots give, and also the close combat ability that those robots give, are something that the sisters don't have access to.
Oh,
exactly.
They don't have access.
Lacking in CC a lot.
Even if you just run 2 squads of Cadillac destroyers, like, you're literally talking, that's 32 graph shots a turn. You know, no matter what, if they need 4s or not, you might be able to roll a Warlord trade and get something better. Like,
oh my God! And you know what I think would be an amazing pair is because obviously those robots are linchpin to the the cover and ballista skill jankery of the destroyers, because destroyers' only weakness is they hit all 4s. So that's going to be a major target for the enemy. Not to mention they're going to be advancing and getting into range with their phosphorus rounds. So that's going to be something the enemy's going to want to target. But like now, you have an opportunity, if you pair it with Sisters, to play a unit from the Sisters Codex that I find awesome. It's one of the coolest units in 40K, one of the best models.
Can I say it? Can I say it?
Say it.
Penitent Engine.
Penitent Engine, all Jay. Like now you can take a unit of Penitent Engines coming up hot with the robots, and it's like, do I shoot the Penitent Engines? But if I blow up the Penitent Engines, the robots are going to keep doing the phosphorus thing, and they're going to keep getting closer. You know what I'm saying?
Oh my God! All I'm saying is now, whoever is playing the Sisters Army for Adepticon next year, I swear to God, I'm not playing. If somebody has to have a squad of Penitent Engines,
I'm kind of changing the. Yeah, we might need
flipping the bill for them if we need to buy them.
Yo, first of all, that's a model that you could almost kill somebody with.
Literally
kill somebody with that model.
It's a solid set of. It's a pewter knuckle like power fist. Like it will fuck somebody up with that thing.
Don't drop that on your foot.
I take it back. Literally, a Penitent Engine might be one of my top 2 or top 3 favorite models that I've always enjoyed so much in 40K. Like, love it.
All day. I knew we were on the same wavelength with that one. Like, it's so clutch. So that would be cool. 3 robots, 3 engines, a bunch of sisters, some exorcists, and it's gonna be it's tight. Clay Cruz, we approve of this message. You got it, bro. You do it. You do what you got to do, man.
And he's gonna show up to the next tournament. Longmore told me to take Penny.
He's like, this is the best army ever. Lose 5 games in a row.
They lied to me.
I hate you all.
Classic us. Well, anyway, guys, now can we go to commercial break and come back hot with some new and FAQ?
I feel like we can.
What does it mean to be a veteran of thelongwar.net? You are the first in the door to all exclusive content, and your clearance will be raised for the earliest access. You can enlist for free. When you're a veteran of thelongwar.net, you are the front line to bringing hobby back. Join our Hall of Veterans at thelongwar.net. Dear veterans, quickly make your way to thelongwar.net and find out how to reap your hard-earned spoils of this long war. For our allies at dicehead.com have rewarded us all with an extra 6% discount on all dicehead.com merchandise. So stock up, dear veterans, and enjoy.
And we're back. And I'm going to turn this thing over to the CEO and writer of all the FAQs, Mike Haspel.
Yeah, well, we had Orcs drop today, and like I said, it was a little late, which was really cool to see the community kind of just, like, well, I'm going to just, like, plastic crack fiends that we are. It was just like, hey, man, like, it's past noon. Where are the FAQs? Like we're not playing anymore.
Like at first it was all like tee hee hee, and then it was like, no, seriously.
No, seriously. Like we will come to Nottingham. Where are the FAQs? So that was awesome. The FAQ though, it seemed like they doubled down on some stuff. There wasn't a whole lot of new stuff in there. They doubled down on some of the rulings from before, like saying that the Gazgul supplement was still good.
That's been a theme, is for them to put out a big statement that affects a lot of things, and then to reinforce it with a more with an actual example of one thing. They did it with people going to transports. They did it with now with the passable locations. They've done it a few times. It's definitely their theme. I feel like for them it's like a free FAQ question. They're like, well, we want to answer this many questions. Let's just put that in there. So that's one of them.
Yeah, exactly. And they clarified some things. Some of the things I found interesting, I guess, were not as new, but I don't play orcs, so they clarified how units within a Stampa or other walkers that have transport capacity would work in close combat. They said the units could disembark, although it might have to be the emergency disembarkation.
Oh, you mean you can choose to emergency disembark?
That's what it said.
That is actually the part.
That's awesome.
That's the part that they said you may have to emergency disembark, or is that us adding that to it?
Let me go and try to find it.
Because that actually,
we're looking it up right now.
That would be like if that's the case, because there's literally no negative to emergency disembarking. It's literally your pin for the rest.
Disembark following the normal rules. This may have to be an emergency disembarkation as described in Warhammer 40k the rules, depending on where the enemy models are positioned in relation to the access point.
So you don't get free will to emergency disembark.
It doesn't seem that way.
Only if your opponent sets you up.
If it follows normal rules, that means when they blow it up. Yeah, okay, because if you can voluntarily do it, there's no negative.
Any point of the vehicle, that'd be.
Yep.
Now I'm ignoring rhino walls.
Because the only negative, it's actually a poorly written rule in GW's part they should fix, but when you emergency disembark, the unit is entangled. They're pinned for the rest of the turn. Well, you do realize that the rest of the turn is my opponent's turn, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's the guy who assaulted me, blew up my rhino. Now I emergency disembark. His turn's now over in the next 6 seconds, and now it's my turn, and I'm no longer pinned, right? You do realize there's literally no negative to that rule.
Mm-hmm.
It's ridiculous. So that would have been cool, but sorry, I didn't mean to. I got real excited there. I was like, oh shit, I have a Stampa on my list. Oh shit, I got Gretchen in that Stampa. Oh, I'm gonna be emergent disembarking all over some people's shit.
And they clarified some other rules, like the lucky stick rule that said, your entire force doesn't get the rerolls, only
your unit.
The guy does.
Because the sentence is constructed in a way where it could be construed that way. And I didn't realize, I guess, that you said that the Italian version literally just, there was no confusion. It basically indicated that you could. Every model had the ability to reroll.
Yeah.
So that's a good clarification, and it's also, it's an important clarification because they could get pretty ridiculous if he's joined to a unit of Mega Knobs that all get to enjoy a rerollable save.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it changes the unit quite a bit.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that was really the two things that jumped out to me. I don't know if you guys saw anything else, but.
Yeah, so obviously, I think the one that could come into play at some points in times and whatnot is
the grab-a-claw you were saying?
Yeah, the grab-a-claw. So basically what that does is they're saying that works on super heavy walkers.
So they're saying that Unstoppable Behemoth is not an override to their special mobilize.
To the claw.
Yeah. Normally where immobilized results wouldn't matter, it does for this. It would stop them from the charge.
I don't think it confers an immobilized result, though.
It temporarily immobilizes them.
Absolutely. Right. It just temporarily immobilizes them, so that would stop the charge.
Yeah, so now does the grab-a-claw, I'm pretty sure the grab-a-claw happens in the movement phase, and they don't even get to move, right?
Right, as long as you're within 2, I believe.
Yeah, check on that, because I'm pretty sure that it's even better than all that. I'm pretty sure that the dude doesn't get to move, and that's pretty huge.
Grabbing claw.
Yeah, the grabbing claw.
Reset. Loading.
Using the interwebs to learn all this, because it was a tactic, a very real tactic in 5th edition when Wave Serpents had to move to get not Wave Serpents, but Falcons had to move to become invincible. You used to be able to grab them with that grab-a-claw. So
yeah, it's a single enemy vehicle that is within 2 inches of the vehicle's grabbing claw. On a 4-up, that vehicle may not move this turn. Flyers and skimmers cannot.
So is the FAQ specifically about assaulting?
Does it stop it from assaulting? Is what the FAQ.
because it might have said that. If that's the case, that's pretty huge. Because I guess,
Yes.
Yeah, so the question for the grab-a-claw is, can a grab-a-claw stop a super heavy walker from moving and hence prevent it from charging? Answer is yes.
That's huge. No, that's sick. So that means a 50-50 chance that Night Iron that's where it lives now. It doesn't even get to assault the vehicle that grabbed it.
Yeah, and that's this turn, can't move. Do it again. So
that's a precedent. Juice, that's a precedent. You know what? Because a lot of people would argue. This is a huge argument. When something says like, blah, 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 ignores terrain when moving. Oh, it doesn't say, but now I'm assaulting. I'm slowed down because I'm not moving. I'm assaulting. GW essentially just said there that moving is moving. It's not the movement phase.
Yeah, that's true.
That's what they said there.
And literally it says, hence, prevent it from charging.
Yeah.
And it says yes, absolutely. I see what you're saying. I like that.
And that's like a common sense thing that I've always thought about 40K, where it's like, where there's models that are like that. Ignore, like for example, beasts. They say ignores difficult terrain when moving and assaulting. They actually say both, right? Mm-hmm. So now it's a reverse precedent. Like, so I'm not sure what GW's intent was.
Yeah, but you're right, because there's that big discrepancy back in the day of wraiths. With their phase through walls, phase form and stuff like that, being able to move this and this, but they get to move with no negatives through terrain for movement, but the second it's the assault phase, all of a sudden now it goes to initiative 1, like it cares about terrain. It doesn't kind of make any sense, because it doesn't have, and that's our interpretation.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't have frag grenades.
Absolutely, and I've actually played against some people who, in other countries, who actually assaulted models through my bubble wrap with the wraiths, because they played it as they interpreted, like that rule's in play at all through all forms of movement. So literally had my guys 5 inches behind my little bubble screen. He got his guys right up on my bubble screen. It was like, well, as long as I roll an 8, I'm not gonna, I can make this charge because I won't be within an inch of your bubble wrap, because I just phase right through your models. And I was like, oh, well, I'm with that interpretation,
Game changing, and I like it.
Yeah, I'm with it. But obviously, that's the cool things when GW becomes an FAQ, you can glean additional potential precedents being set with the company who makes the rules, interpretations of their own rules.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's something to definitely file away for later and kind of keep an eye on it when the finals come out.
Absolutely, and that's kind of what we were talking about for. It's like ultimately that's all the grandeur that it's 4 pages long, and that's about as grand as it comes. There is plenty of questions on these 4 pages, but in my opinion, it's a waste of ink. It doesn't really mean anything, and I don't want to beat it too much, but we've kind of already spoke some previously tonight. It's like, man, I want to see you. Somebody needs to be there saying, hey, look, orcs are pretty terrible right now. Let's errata. I think every FAQ that comes out for every army needs to have an errata to it.
Yeah,
where
there needs to be
something
somebody
gets
that
better.
says that. Yeah.
Something gets better. And I'm kind of sick of seeing these FAQs that say no. I talked about it on the webcast tonight. It's like, Kenny, I think you've, said the phrase when we were talking about how do we make a tournament good. What are we talking about? Ban lists and this and this. And I think you were the first person to say, let's not talk about what people can't play. Let's talk about what they can play and insinuate that, right? So that's exactly what these FAQs. Why do you keep putting out FAQs that are just BS no instead of hey, you can do this. You can do this. You organize. You deserve this.
That's a good note. That's a good note, Juice, and that's something that I think that they can take from the Street Fighter community, because I did talk about how I watched Evo all weekend, got super hyped on live coverage of Street Fighter and everything. But something that Capcom does as the providers of a fighting game that with the express design to be competitive, they designed that game to be played and to be won. And there's all sorts of data that files down. For us, we track things like stats and special rules and blah, blah, blah. Competitive Street Fighter players look at things like frame data, et cetera, right? So sometimes they come out with a bunch of characters, and then we play them, and we're like, this is broken, this is OP. This doesn't make sense. This is too much of an advantage. And Capcom will come in there, and they'll balance it, right? They'll change the frame data, a.k.a. the stats, right? But sometimes people will come out with combos that are literally were never designed by the creators. Capcom did not ever even imagine that combo was possible, that those links were possible, right? They never, no, that's not a thing. And guess what happens when it got brought up? They were like, good for you for finding it. Yes, it still remains in the game. We're keeping it. You know what I mean? And they let it ride. And they're like, yes, good on you guys for like being amazing fans and finding these cool things. And then they write them into the game, the next iteration, so that they keep those cool combos that didn't realize were possible. I would love to see some of that movement from GW.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're absolutely right.
I'm just happy they're putting FAQs out. Like,
I am happy that they care. I'm happy that they care.
Yep.
I'm just still a little upset and a little salty because it's been so many years. I'm still negative. My natural disposition is negative because they didn't give a fuck about me for 7 years, and I still think they got two guys in a basement who don't know how the game works making these decisions. Like,
maybe we can wait until after they put out the finals, and then when it's final, then we can have our final word, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. But and you're right. And I talked about it earlier. Like, they're consistent. They're consistent every Wednesday. And as you saw, there was a flash pan, that was going on with potentially people weren't getting their FAQs on time, and they were freaking out. So, I mean, this is something, and they are coming to the call. They are going race by race, and faction by faction. So, but again, we wouldn't be who we are if we didn't say, like, we're gonna call bullshit. GW, we're gonna patch on the back when you come up with good jobs like this Age of Sigmar. You turn my opinion around on it, but right now, these FAQs for the last couple armies have just been a little lacking.
Yeah, they're just not. Yeah, no, you're right. You can't let them get away with something just because they're finally helping us out and they're finally doing their job. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
But I will not say this is a good FAQ if it's not a good FAQ. You're right. It's too negative. All the FAQs are negative. Like, for example, how come they didn't even talk about the Gods Go Wild supplement? Like, their half-hearted attempt at bringing formations to orcs, which was fundamentally a waste of dollar bills for an orc fan. They didn't even talk about it. Like, there's so many. Like, literally one sentence could have made orcs better by removing one errata, removing one line in that whole supplement of these, orky relics are available only to the formations presented in this literature. They just could have changed that to these relics are available to all orcs. Yeah. Well, my God.
Fortunately, you have a direct way to contact them on the specific page that mentions that rule, or I guess it doesn't. So maybe put it in.
We talked about it last week that the only thing certain is because a lot of people aren't playing the draft because they're like, oh, it's a draft. It's not real. I'm not going to play it. Well, the only thing that's going to happen if you don't play it and you don't provide feedback to GW is all the shit you hate about the draft is going to be the final draft.
Yeah. It's going to be the final. Absolutely.
Congratulations.
Yo, how many times have we done that, guys, with putting out missions, putting out this, hey, guys, play this mission, this rule, this whatever, and give us feedback. We're not saying it's right now. We need feedback. So, no, I'm completely with it.
So I think we pretty much beat the FAQ, the new Orcs' FAQ to death here. I think we should take some time because we got a little bit of time left to go over the main topic we talked about tonight. Our net lists ought to win. Now, like I said, we talked a lot about the Cabal. There was some stuff in recent podcasts over at the Frontline about, hey, I don't like playing competitive because I got to play Psychic Phase, which is kind of where we're at right now, too. You got to have a Psychic Phase answer, I feel like.
The Psychic Phase is probably the most important phase right now. I want to caveat to this is like a Psychic also meaning Space Marine builds that have
defense
multiple ways.
The dark arts.
Right.
Yeah,
so you
absolutely.
Gotta have defense or offense.
Or built-in buffs in themselves, like, for example, multiple Gladiuses and stuff where they have, multiple times throughout the games, you get everybody gets to reroll. Everybody gets this. Warcon has Canicles and Doctrines. Those are all psychic abilities that you don't have to actually cast. They just happen. So
that's a good point. That's well said.
Yeah. So right. So like, my God, Kenny, how many nuts would you give up if your entire army could sing a song for a psychic phase and your entire army is Shroud plus Stealth?
No, for real. I mean, I literally would give up both of them. Right. But, let's go back in time for 1 second, and because you walked us through a story earlier this evening that spurred this topic, and so let's start off by plugging the ATC.
Yeah, absolutely. So this weekend, guys, we are only a couple hours away from everybody driving to Chattanooga, Tennessee, where 45 to 50 teams of 5 are going to come together and play in the annual tournament.
That's like more than 20 people.
It is actually more than a few.
Solid amount of people. The American Team Championships, which is obviously designed to mirror the European Team Championships, but since we have so many people out here, so many clubs, so many people in their Beats Lab, we can support our own like 50 team version of the European Team Championships, in which they have been doing, I think, for 5 or 6 years now.
Absolutely. I think this is the 6th year.
Yeah.
And it's been getting better every time. They've kind of honed down. Shane and the guys have really honed down and found this location. This would be the 3rd year in a row here at this one. And again, as we've talked about, this is not really that convention. This isn't that party all weekend. Get to go together with everybody and everything. Like this is you're about to get 6 hardcore games.
6 serious games. Yep.
You've got teams that have come together, and there's a lot of teams that have good fun lists, and they're here to have fun. And then the majority of the room now is going to who can put together the best 5 meta list there is.
Yeah, no doubt. And real quick, you mentioned Shane. And Shane is actually the same Shane that is the proprietor of DiceHead.com, which is obviously one of the official sponsors of our show. And these guys stepped up and became a big part of the ATC process and eventually brought it to what it is today. So I definitely want to mention that to our listeners because that is very important.
Yeah, 100%. So to kind of tie it all back together, what led us to this is I am going to be playing WarCon this weekend. That's what after talking to my team, that's what they wanted me to throw down. And so I'm like, all right, word, easy enough. I've talked about this list. This is literally something I feel good with. We've talked about how ridiculous it is, how many points, and blah, blah, blah. But that was the extent, guys, of my knowledge of WarCon. I played against it a couple times. When I play against armies, I'm like, cool, you do a bunch of stuff. I go in with the game plan that whatever you do, I don't care. It's the old additive. My game plan is a game plan until somebody gets punched in the face. So until I get punched in the face with your list, I really don't care, right? So diving into this, having 400 points of upgrades is different, in my opinion, now than having 600 points of free units. Now, it is still the same to me. I don't care. It's 400, 500, 600 points of free stuff is free stuff. The reason why I say it's different, not just anybody can play WarCon and think they're going to win. That's just period, point blank. I'm here to tell you that. I will go and I'll tell you why in a second, but I will go as further to say I don't believe anybody can just pick up Eldar, and we would say Eldar is arguably one of the best armies out there. What else? All
Gladius
these
Strike
Super
Force.
Friends, Gladius Strike Force,
Yep.
any other
Death
army
Star,
you want.
Yeah.
I am.
Cabals.
Yep, all these. I would say just because you're playing it doesn't mean you're going to win. Because you want to know what? This isn't Magic. This isn't other stuff that you can print off a to-do list. And if these 3 combos happen, you win. The lists give you the tools. You have to be a good enough 40k general to be able to know how to wield them. So case in point, going back to why the WarCon is so tough to actually be a good general with is because every unit has every upgrade possible, right? So they have every universal special rule, and the reason why the list is so good is because, I'm just throwing out a scenario, Dragoons shoot a weapon, you take a wound from it. I get to reroll my charge distances from that, and then I put my infiltrators next to a unit also within that same that I want to try to dual charge. You take a -1 weapon skill, blitz skill, initiative, and or something like that. Then now I'm also going to put my vanguard. I'm going to charge. I've got double rad that I'm doing. Everybody has an individual haywire attack because of all these upgrades. And this canonical, I'm at +3 and all this. Like, you have to be able to spout out so much rhetoric almost that you have to know what you're doing so you can describe all that to your opponent. If you just say, I bring down my army, it's not like a powerhouse army like Tau was, for example, back in the day, where it's like, I shoot 110 shots, they all ignore up cover, and they're all twin linked. That's my army. That's my meta list. WarCon is not that right now.
No.
I would go now thinking about it because I'm taking my brain down that path. I believe Eldar somewhat is that way. It has that potential. You can sit back and shoot if you would like. Okay, but ultimately that ain't going to win you a game.
No.
Guys, how many tournaments have you been at your local store, big events, anything else, and you've seen Eldar with 30 warp spiders and 15 bikes and all this D weapons and stuff like that in the lower brackets? Haskell, I think you told us earlier.
Yeah, at Adepticon, I lost both of my first games. And in the third game, I was playing a guy who had, an Eldar list that had a bunch of scat bikes in it, and the Forge World, I don't remember the name of the tank. But the tanks, the which ones?
The Lynx.
No, it's like the ones they're big and they sit and they have D weapons, and he had those on a sky shield, and I was just like, how am I playing against this army?
The 2 war partners, they Barrage D.
Yeah, so I was like, how on earth am I playing against this guy's army after I lost the first 2 games?
Yeah, I'll tell you how, because that dude got 0-2'd his first 2 games as well. Like, if you don't have good target priorities, if you don't have this and this, like, you're not going to win any game of 40K.
Well, yeah,
it doesn't matter.
No.
Regardless of the situation. But like you were saying, like, I mean, Aaron Erlong, we interviewed him. You know, and he's been smashing through all the tournaments with, you know, a Death Star. And everyone online's like, oh, Death Star is the best. I mean, and mathematically, it's probably the best army in 40K just because of the quality of wins that he's pulled down with it. But that's Aaron Erlong winning those events.
Yeah.
And I got right here, I just pulled up the top 8 from Bay Area Open, which just happened last week. And there's tons of people there, like 100 or more. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And we're talking ITC, one of the probably the 3rd biggest or possibly 2nd biggest individual GT in the country right now, playing ITC missions, which almost everyone's playing, and we're talking top 8. I don't see any Space Marine Death Stars here, bro.
Yo, do you have? Is it like 2 Warcon?
It's okay. Yes. So there are 2 Warcons. So first place was actually Dark Angels Battle Company, which is a sleeper army not a lot of people know about. Our friend Mike Twitchell knew about them. That's essentially a Gladiator Strike Force.
Yeah, the Lion's Blade.
So Dark Angels Gladiator Strike Force 1, so aka Gladiator Strike Force 1. War Convocation was number 2. White Scars Battle Company was number 3, so that's another almost Gladiator Strike Force like type of list, but I don't think that's all.
They're wavering heavy on objective secure units.
Yep.
And have we not talked about in the last little bit of how strong Gladius and all that is? Like,
yep.
They have reined in all the other OP things about ITC, invisibility, all these other blah blah blah. But literally, objectives is what it is. The armies that are winning.
If you don't have the buffs, you need to get on the objectives and you need to stay there because the ITC Maelstrom scoring protocol, you don't just get on it and then score it. You have to be on it through your opponent's turn too. You don't score the Maelstrom
on your turn. Wow.
Until you roll again. So like if I say I need to hold 3 objectives and I put my units on it, I don't actually score those units until I roll on the chart again. So my opponent, it's not enough to just have a pocket unit on objective. You need to have more than one objective secure units. You need to force them to kill your army. And if you talk about your whole army has 3 up jinx saves, or you have, you know, you're a Gladiator Strike Force, all this objective secure free units, you can just park 3 rhinos on an objective.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So basically Gladiator Strike Force, essentially, War Convo, White Scars Battle Company, 4th place, Mass Warp Spider Eldar, 5th place, another White Scars Battle Company, 6th place, a Guard Dar with Inquisition, so classic, I've got all the best units kind of list.
I got the best units of every book.
And then 7th place,
summon.
Another War Combo in 7th place. These people, they had a library as Conclave attached to it. And this is I wanted to mention because earlier Rob was like, and all these cabals. I was like, yes, 8th place was Cabal.
Well, it was a Screamer Cabal, which
I mean that's a classic. I've seen that every Cabal I've seen, has a mini Screamer Star in it and a Dog Star second Cabal. Like you have one of each. You have both. A little mini Screamer Star, and this is what these guys had, a mini Screamer Star and the Super Dog Star. Because the Cabal needs to join something. They can't join Screamers. You know what I'm saying? So you you join them to that demon unit. And so what I'm saying is like we haven't seen anyone win a tournament with a Cabal, and the Cabal's got to do a lot of work because right now the meta, like unless you're Aaron Erlong, right now we talked about player skill factored into Death Stars. Death Stars are the fundamental disadvantage versus Gladiator Strike Force. 1 billion bikes with hit and run that are objective secure. You know what I mean? Like literally, it's great. Fine. I got this 1 unit army you can't kill. It can move pretty far and eventually it can Voltron out. But there's a difference between a sorcerer sitting on an objective than 5 objective secure bikers with 3 of jinx saves.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I can definitely agree with that.
I would like to say to kind of like that is awesome. So now we see, you know, what won or what went into the top 8 at BAO, and that's kind of, I mean, that you have to lower BAO, like that's what you have to look at. And you see those top lists. We saw 2 Warcon, we saw multiple Gladiuses, we saw that, you know, that is that style, right? Because of take and hold objectives. But like I would just like to go on the record and keep saying, just because you play this list, if you don't know your list, if you don't put your time in your beats lab, if you don't get, I don't believe there's not a win. Now, I will say it puts you into a next tier category to take a 60%, 70% chance. If you play an Eldar list, if you play Warcon, no matter what, the list against every army out there is going to give you like a 70% win chance. Or something like that, a 60% against pretty much the field. Now, as a good general, that goes up. If I play NIDS, right, I'm going on, or if I play a lesser army, I'm going on my skill set with an army to say, against a third of the field, I'll win 90% of my game. Against another one of the third of the fields, I'll win 50%. And then that last third, I'm literally having like a snowball's chance of 50%.
That's true. And that's a good way of looking at it. The best, I'd say that what you're doing is one of the best ways to look at your army's choices. Always assume that everyone you're going to play is the same skill as you. That's the smartest way to look at it.
Mm-hmm.
So when you make these numbers in your head, you're like, assuming we're the same skill, and they're playing Eldar and I'm playing blah. Okay, they clearly have an advantage. We're
Absolutely
the same skill.
have an advantage.
We're the same skill, and I have Warconvocation, and they have some basic Blood Angels army. You're like, all right, I'm gonna go to 99%.
No chance. Yep.
Yeah, so that's what we mean is like, you got to like, it's only abusive if everyone's literally exactly the same thought process, same skill, makes the same decisions. You know what I mean? But it's not the case.
Yeah.
Just kind of to drive that point home, Evan Veldyke saying the last place was Eldar, new player went.
Yeah, last place was Eldar. Someone trying to come in probably, with Eldar, But check this out. So here's four other people who went 5-1 at Bay Area Open. Now that's probably not 5 wins last loss because they would be in the top 8. They probably lost game 2 or game 3, but still 5-1 record at Bay Area Open. You got a Demonic Incursion.
Okay.
What 5-1?
Strong.
Yep.
A White Scars Cad. What 5-1? So obviously all his bikes are objective secure because the chapter master and all his rhinos were. They're probably outflanked. And I can tell you right now, I can actually glimpse the list.
Probably some ignore cover action.
So he actually had a Night Titan in there, and he had a bunch of bikes that were objective skiers. So pretty good, pretty good. Then here's another 5-1, another War Convocation.
Yeah.
And here's another 5-1, an Astra Militarum CAD. So yes.
IG, and we know IG. We've proven that more times over.
They can do some heavy lifting.
But this is actually a Gardar, looks like, so. So I mean, basically,
I don't like that.
The theme of everything here is, and I got 1 billion scat. He had like 5 units of scat bikes, a secondary CAD. So like the theme here is, if you have enough objective secure and you can maintain board control, you can win ITC missions. Like that's a major thing. You don't even have to kill your opponent.
No,
you
just play this. And again, I'm so glad that you're insinuating on ITC, because literally objective secure, like you actually don't need to play too much in any other missions in the game, because ITC objectives are so powerful and everything else, which is fine. I'm not saying anything. I'm just like we're pointing out facts. Like literally, look at the statistics now in the top 20, or top 10. All you need is objective secure units to get in the top. So cool, that's it. But like for the rest of the field, for everybody else who's playing with kill points, all these other things, like literally, if you can't interact in the psychic phase, these psychic lists, like let's just put something out. So for everybody, you wonder like, oh, I've heard of Eldar, I've heard of this. Another couple lists that are out there that just got released that people are playing for the ETC. This is how a lot of us have learned about them, but people are pairing Weird Vein Psychers. It's in the new Tau Manka book.
Oh,
that came out. So there's a formation in there for Weird Vein Psychers. So basically they're pairing you can get this whole Weird Vein unit. So it's like 3 units, Brotherhood of Psycho Weird Vein units, Commissar, Primera Psyker, and something else. And you can also put those in Chimeras, those 3 squads in Chimeras as well. Get that whole detachment for under 400 points, 450 points. A lot of people are pairing that with either 4 Night Titans, 5 Flying Hive Tyrants, things like that. The Hive Tyrants I like better because you're able to suck off the dice, use their psychic dice, so that's 10, so you're bringing 17 or 18 to the table. And basically by turns 2 or 3, you have 5 Flying Hive Tyrants and 3 to 5 D-Thirsters on the table.
Yeah, it's pretty crucial. And so on the subject of like this psychic power rant that we're on, like you said, if you need to, you need to be able to play in the psychic phase, and we're saying that means either actually be psychically enhanced or have some innate defense against it. Right. And all these free units and free upgrades and free war gear choices are absolutely defense against it. And so real quick, in the top 8 of Bay Area Open, 2 of the lists had super psychic ability. One of them had a Cyclopean Cabal with Screamer Star, and one of them had a Librarius Conclave. So that's 2 people who chose to play straight up psychics, right? Then the rest of them were 2 of them were War Convocations, which we've outlined right now. They have a plethora of things that are essentially defense because they're against that. They can play that game because they have so many free augmentations. And then, sorry.
No, I was going to say, and to be honest, the abilities that they get are better than any psychic abilities you can put together. Their entire army gets Stealth Shroud. Their entire army is Prescience. Their entire it is unbelievable. It is psychic powers on crack.
For free. Freezy, for actually negative points.
Yeah, and Kenny, how many dice does it take for you to stop my Psalm Shroud?
Like, I don't have enough.
That's right. There actually isn't enough. So, at least you get rolls against
it. Doesn't matter how many dice you have.
It doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. And then obviously the winner was a Gladiator Strike Force we've already discussed. Like if you have, 10 free rhinos that sit on that you
Razorbacks.
Literally, if you have 10 free Razorbacks, 10 free whatever it is, and they're all objective secure, and you're talking about every mission is objectives, basically. Like it's heavy objective completely. Only there's you can roll 3 times in the Maelstrom, discard 1. And there's 2 kill unit ones and 2 objective ones. Like that is heavily skewed to I as a Gladiator Strike Force can always go for objectives, and the secondary of the mission's always objectives. So my opponent can obviously try to skew it toward kill points. It doesn't matter if you're winning kill points and I'm winning objectives on the Maelstrom side of it. But then the secondary of this is still objectives. GG, bro.
Yeah,
so
it doesn't matter.
So no matter how good your psychic powers are, it just doesn't matter. You see, that's defense against it. You can do whatever you're going to do. I'm going to do me, win this game. Same thing with all the war combos, and the same thing, obviously, with the other 2 armies in the mix that were actually psychically augmented.
Yeah,
OG
and also,
psychics.
And you're telling if you don't believe that Eldar army that had did they drop both for Farseers? Because normally most people put 2 Farseers on Jetbikes.
He probably had. I couldn't imagine that he didn't. So he probably had a little bit of both. He had the Eldar for freezies, I'm the best.
Yep.
And he also had the ability to make a couple of units.
Prescience and everything else. Again, because of the fact that they have all these gems and everything else that they can cast level 2 spells on 1 war charge and rerolls and sack this. Literally, if you can't interact, and guys, lastly, and the only reason why we're going on from this, not even to scare anybody or anything else, it's awareness. Like, hey, if you smoke cigarettes, you potentially are going to get cancer and die. You know what I mean? Like, if you don't play 40K and think that the psychic phase is you need to be involved in it, you are going to lose.
You're going to or at least waste 3 hours of your life playing somebody.
And so there's other ways around it, guys. Like, let's say you play Tau and stuff. Like, the bare minimum, if you're playing a lot of things and going in and out, like, throw the assassin in there, the collect assassin. Like, that's the bare minimum stuff you can do.
Don't be afraid of it. Like, if you're going to a tournament, and you're like, oh, it doesn't fit into my army, fine. You need to sack like 150 points of your army list, put that guy in there, and just pretend he's not there.
Yeah.
Like, just like this is what
paint that dude up like an orc. Paint that dude up like whatever that you need to do. We're just trying to say, like, and again, for everybody that is listening, rolling their eyes like, oh, it's all about competitive. Like, no, we're only talking about the people who want to take it. We're trying to keep everybody on the same level playing field, so when they go to a tournament, they don't come bitching back saying, oh, these guys are assholes. They're playing all these lists, and this. We are telling you kind of what the meta is going to look like, what things are like, so you can go ahead and counteract that. Go ahead and do something. Go ahead, throw this in. Think about how these things interact with each other. Also, these flying things with the new flyer rules, that before long, remember we said this, I would say, guys, before December is up, before the new year, we're going to be talking about how all flyer lists are demolishing the game right now. I just feel it. It's not there yet because too many other things are going on, but I honestly believe some people are working in their Beats lab where they're people are already trying. We see 13. We see people trying to make 13 Storm Talons work and 4 Avengers, or what are those called? I keep saying Avengers. The Flyer, the Space Marine Flyer.
Fire Raptor.
The Fire Raptor. Trying that out. Like, so we're trying to put you on the same page. You guys know that when you listen to us, we're going to shoot you straight, and we're going to say, hey, if this is strong right now, this is what's happening.
We always advocate bringing hobby back, and that's the way we run tournaments. We run tournaments where bringing a Killer Assassin in your towel is lame because bringing that other stuff is lame. That's
it's like cause and effect.
That's our brand. Our brand is bringing hobby back. Now the ITC brand is pure competitive play, and so I'm not telling you not to. We never even once said don't go do that. Don't go. Like, we don't want you to play a tenth as many tournaments this year because you wanted to boycott all not bringing hobby back tournaments. We're not saying that. Well, I'm going to go to multiple ITC tournaments. Like, I'm going to go to LVO.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
going to go all these. I love both elements of the game, and I embrace them for both what they are. But don't get it twisted. Like, if I'm going to LVO, like, I'm absolutely bringing the heat. I'm bringing.
Why would you not? You'd be selling yourself short.
So, yes, Robbie B, I feel like that is one of the best phrases you can say. Is like, you as a 40K novice player, to get the best tournament experience you can, to get everything else, you have to play the tournament that you're going to. If not, you are selling yourself short. If you don't bring the right style of list to the right tournament, you literally might as well not come, because you are going to be sad because of how everybody else lists compare up to yours, how bad you did, and it's going to be a salty experience. Like,
it's really hard not to be salty, no matter how much you're like, oh, I'm here hanging out with my friends. Well, if you're the only one who lost 6 games in a row, it's gonna be a little bit harder to be like, yay,
Yeah, I mean, true story. We had a guy who flew with us to a very good friend of ours. I'll say his name right now, but like, flew with us because he thought he had something figured out, all the way to Feast of Blades when it was going on like 3 years ago, and literally, come to find out, it didn't work out for him. He went 0-6 and literally had a terrible. I mean, he still had fun time with us, but like, there's so many joys you can make when you're going 0-6. And everybody else around you is trying to win their bracket and doing this, and you just can't find that joy sometimes. I couldn't, so it's not a knock on him, but so it happens. So guys, do your homework, do whatever. We are, as Kenny said, bringing the hobby back. We love it. I love playing stuff like that, but at the same time, we're not going to, as Rob said, we're not going to sell ourselves short. Mm-hmm. When we go to an event, we're going to do our best to go to the event what we set out to do. At this past year, we set out at Adepticon to show people what it is.
Don't get it twisted. The Hammer and Wrath GT I'm going to next month, it's an ITC event. The winner of it gets a free LVO ticket, which I already purchased. But don't get it twisted. I'm bringing Cyclopia Cabal. I'm bringing the Wombo combo on some Spawn, and I'm trying to summon 2 Bloodthirsters. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Don't get it twisted. When I go to LVO next year, I'm bringing my orcs, and don't think I'm bringing orcs to bring hobby back. At that tournament, I'm bringing the most competitive version of orcs as a personal challenge to myself. But like, I do have the 400-point Stompa, I do have the Rippa, I do have MSU, I do have Lucky Stick Triple War Boss Death Star. Like, I am not like, I'm bringing a version of that. I'm bringing the most gangster version of the orc army I could possibly put together in my mind to that event. But when I go to Adepticon and play and a bringing hobby back doubles event like ours, neither of those armies are being brought. Like, I'm bringing something totally different.
Yeah, I do want to add too that even though the net lists may not be decisively OP on their base, at the face value or whatever, the way I like to think of it, because I'm more of a computer gamer, even though I play tabletop and everything, is its difficulty levels. You know what I mean? So if you're playing Sisters, you're definitely playing on expert. All things being equal, if you were like, hey, I'm mirror matching myself, I'm playing against an opponent that has the exact same skill level as me, but they're playing Eldar and I'm playing Sisters, I'm playing on expert, and they're not. So, I mean, don't mistake it that everything's equal. That's not what we're trying to say.
That's a great analogy. And so the best part about that is, like, so you're playing on expert versus the Eldar guy. He might be playing on easy mode, but he might be a 3-star general on ranked right now on top of it.
And
exactly.
And to be honest, that's why we've always kind of, jabbed at our fellow 40K players who are phenomenal, who could win events playing less lists, right? They could win events without playing Eldar, win events without playing this, when it was the thing to play. But they didn't. They decided to be the best generals that we know, the best 40K generals that the states have put out, and still play the most the highest ranked army as well. So like that's why we've always kind of we've said, hey, look, that's kind of or even multiple times, like Kenny, you have ran Grey Knights, you have figured out a combo, this and this, and so like that was before. And now you, as being such a phenomenal general, you challenge yourself on a day-to-day basis to figure out how can I make the best list possible, absolute grossest list possible, no holds, but I'm going to do it with a different race.
Absolutely. That is definitely my personal challenge in Warhammer 40K. But that's not a challenge that's for everybody.
Yeah. And I kind of close out this whole segment here. With wrapping it up with psychic powers and competitiveness, I actually personally like investing a lot in psychic powers because depending on the level of play of your opponent, you can kind of throttle yourself back if it's a little too much. You don't have to cast an invisibility. Maybe just cast Shrouded. Maybe, like look at their list and you're like, okay, well obviously they're not on the same power level as me. Let me throttle it back so I don't give them a feel badsy. Or you're like, oh, okay, what do you got going on here? Okay, cool, now I can throttle up. Like it gives you that opportunity to kind of go either way with it.
What a great point, Rob.
Very, very good point.
Because we do talk about bringing hobby back, and sometimes, and the definition of a sport, and my personal definition has always been someone who's as equally vested in my time as their own, and that is easily done in that situation you just outlined. Like, okay, I'm going to beat this guy, I can still get this win, but as long as I'm still rolling volumes of psychic dice, but I'm rolling different powers that still let him get to interact with me, but still let me comfortably win the game. Some people look at that, they're like, oh, but that's just gaming the system. The one thing I do want you to game is I want you to game sportsmanship. I want you to game being awesome and making friends. Like, yes, I completely advocate that message, Rob.
Yeah, and that's I've built a few lists and I've done that, and I've had fun in both competitive and non-competitive games with the same list. So I'm happy with that. That's a win in my book.
Not bad. Well said, brother.
So I guess that's pretty much. I think we hit on all the high notes tonight. We went a little over, but that's okay.
We had Juice back in the Beats Lab after his amazing vacation and his move in with his beautiful lady, and now everything's going to start settling down, and we should be back together, for a few more episodes at least before one of us has some kind of thing.
God willing.
Oh my goodness. So, all right. Well, thanks for everybody for coming out tonight. We will see some of you here or listening, and we'll at least see you at the ATCs this weekend, hopefully. And Kenny will see some folks in a few weeks here, and we'll just keep on keeping on.
Absolutely. And remember, guys, if you're showing up to ATC, you don't know too many people, you always know Rob and I. Literally come up, hang out with us. Anything that I have in my hand to drink, you have in your hand to drink. You know what I mean? So there's not knowing anyone at ATC or any events when we're around.
No doubt. All right, Haspel, take us out, buddy.
Somebody in this camp ain't what it appears to be. Right now, that may be one or two of us. By spring, it could be all of us.
Check out thelongwar.net. Become a member of the Hall of Veterans today for the fastest growing library of war game related video content, modeling, painting, and playing, not to mention all the sick discounts I receive from some of our sponsors. Thelongwar.net is committed to bringing hobby back, and we can't do it without you.